Good evening, everyone. Country Flyboy here, and today, another tutorial for the basics of Flight Simulator. Today, we're going to be discussing the basics of flying these things. And, disclaimer, you are going to die. Just let that soak in. Choppers are hard to fly, significantly harder than airplanes are, and you are just going to kill yourself god-awful amount of times at that. It takes a while to learn to fly the choppers properly. However, I'm going to give you a little bit of basic knowledge on them. You're going to have more than I had when I learned how to fly these things. I can't tell you how many times I've killed myself on one of these, and I still occasionally do. So, this here is the default Bell 206 Jet Ranger. We're parked at the Georgia State Patrol hangar here in Athens, Georgia, which is in North Georgia. And, we're going to fly around, see what we can do. We might do some patrols over the road, see if there's anything going on. Maybe fly over the college, make sure the college kids ain't doing anything they shouldn't be doing. So, Athens Airfield is a pretty decently busy general aviation airport in Athens, Georgia. And you can see there's several planes parked over there. This is because Athens is a college town. The University of Georgia is here in Athens. In fact, it's right over there somewhere. Right down there. But, so this is a college town, University of Georgia, yada yada yada. So this is a pretty decently busy airport here. And the Georgia State Patrol maintains a hangar here. We're also not too terribly far from Atlanta. Atlanta is about 70 miles east of, or west of here. And Atlanta is one of the busiest airports in the world, and also one of the busiest airports in Flight Simulator. Especially if you have AI traffic program like I do. Oh my god, Atlanta can be really, really busy. So, we're not going to be flying anywhere over there. I can tell you that right now. But we will be flying just in and around the Athens area just to see what we can get into. Alright, so with choppers, starting the engine in a chopper can be problematic at best in Flight Simulator. So, I'm just going to hit Control E to auto start the engine. Okay, the anti-collision light is on, nav light is on, avionics master, we'll set that to GPS, strobe light, that is strobe light, it's on, and the landing light's on. Alrighty. Now, with choppers, it's kind of a bad idea to use default ATC, because, for one, we could use default ATC as a helicopter, and request taxi, but default ATC will always send you to a runway. Now, we can get around this by just taxiing to a taxiway that intersects with the runway and taking off from there. I've seen that done in real life. You can see there's two helipads down here at this airfield. So, the way it would work in real life is we would actually hover taxi down to those helipads. But look what we got to get through to get there. We got to go through the parking ramp with lots of airplanes. Our rotors push air down. That could be very dangerous for those planes there, so we're not going to want to go that way. What we're actually going to do is hover taxi to the end of this taxiway here and take off there, because there's nothing there that we could damage. Alright. But we can't use default ATC for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tune Athens Tower in the radio, 126.3. So I can listen in on them and know what all's going on. So I'll be listening in on the radio to get an idea where the other airplanes are and what's going on and who's doing what. But I will not be communicating with ATC for this. Okay, so a chopper. A chopper is a lot harder than an airplane, because in an airplane you don't need all your flight controls except sometimes. And what I mean by that is, if you wanted to climb an aircraft,
contact Atlanta approach on 126.975.
If you wanted to climb a fixed-wing airplane, you would pitch up and then add power. That's the two flight controls you need for a basic climb. To climb a helicopter, to do anything with a helicopter, you need to use all three flight controls. There are three flight controls in a chopper. The cyclic, which is the stick here, that controls the angle of the blades. as a unit. So the whole blade's set is spinning in a disc. The blade disc is what the cyclic controls. Now, the blades are just small aircraft wings. They're shaped just like a wing. The next flight control is that one, the collective. The collective, not to be confused with the throttle, the collective changes the angle at which those blades slice through the air. So increasing collective increases the angle of attack, which increases the amount of lift on the blades, which lets you climb and descend. So this is sort of an altitude control here, but again, you have to use all 3 flight controls to fly a chopper successfully. And last but not least, we have the rudder. The rudder changes the angle of attack on the tail rotor, increasing and decreasing the lift on the tail rotor and causing the aircraft to either turn or yaw left or right. So that's the 3 basic flight controls. Now, this handle here is a click spot, and you can slide this over. This is the throttle. The way the chopper works is you set the throttle for a given situation, and then you change the collective. So, I think we've yammered on enough on the ground. It's time to get this whirly-birdie in the air. Alright. So to fly a chopper without killing yourself, you need to really think ahead of the helicopter. Okay, we're light on the skids. That means we're producing just enough lift that we can slide the skids around safely, is what light on the skids means. Alright, so you really need to keep ahead of the chopper. You need to know what each and every control input is going to do and how that's going to affect the chopper. That way you never get behind it. So I'm going to hover taxi the helicopter over to that takeoff point over there. And how you hover taxi is you give it just enough throttle to get light on the skids, then you slowly increase it a little bit more. As you can see, we're really light on the skids now, and now we're hovering just above the tarmac. Now you want to keep small inputs on the throttle. You don't want to climb very much. And I'm going to pitch forward just a little bit to get moving forward. And I'm going to yaw to the right. And I'm going to taxi along the hover taxi along this taxiway. With hover taxis, you really need to be careful. You don't want to get the aircraft moving too fast. Maintain a few feet above the tarmac. And see, this is as fast as you want to go with a hover taxi. Never ever want to go faster than that. Now keep in mind, physics in Flight Simulator, not 100% realistic with default planes. And this is a default helicopter. Its physics are toned down a lot. A real helicopter is significantly harder to fly, and so are add-on helicopters. Alrighty, I'm going to stop the chopper right here. I'm actually sliding my skids across the ground. Alright, heavy on the skids. Okay, so we're in a takeoff position. We're going to take off, and we're just going to fly straight out that way. So we'll take off and fly east, roughly. I'm going to tune back to tower. I'm going to look around, see if there's any aircraft that could be in conflict. Looks like everybody is far enough away. He's 4 miles away, but he's heading south, so he shouldn't be an issue. Everyone else is high enough and far enough away to not be a factor. Alright, taking off in a helicopter. Not too different from starting a hover taxi. Increase throttle till we're light on the skids. Light on the skids. Increase throttle a little bit more, and we'll just climb straight up. Now, I want you to note I'm having to put a significant amount of yaw into the rudders, into the rudder pedals, the anti-torque pedals as they're called in the chopper. This is because of torque with the blade. The blade is spinning counterclockwise on this chopper, which means the nose of the chopper wants to spin to the right. And the more collective we have, the faster that blade is spinning, the more anti-torque rudder we need. As we begin to move forward and air starts to flow past the fuselage of the chopper, we'll need less anti-torque rudder because we'll be keeping stable. However, what happens is we produce more lift on one side of the chopper than the other as we move forward through the air, and this means we'll have to put some bank into the chopper in order to fly straight. So flying a chopper is all about smooth inputs, know what each movement and input is going to do, and just keep ahead of the chopper. Okay, so we'll follow this road, and we'll get about 500 feet in the air, and we'll start our patrol. So I guess we'll be looking for any speeders. In real life, we would have a helicopter officer in the right seat. So I'm going to move the seat over. I'm going to move over to this side of the chopper. Now I'm going to fly the chopper from this side. In helicopters, you always fly from the right side. But I'm going to pretend there's somebody flying in the left side, or someone sitting in the left side while someone else is flying. Alright, so now we're at 500 feet. I'm going to decrease collective to maintain 500 feet, well, a little higher. And I'm gonna maintain about 70 knots. Just a little pitch down on the nose is enough to maintain a speed. Alright, so we're gonna find a road to follow. This road looks fine. And we're just gonna look for any speeders. I don't see anybody. Everybody in Flight Sim speeds, okay? All the roads on the ground, all the cars on the ground are hauling ass. Another thing we would do is look for drug fields. You know, this is a state patrol chopper, so it's law enforcement. So we would be looking for drug fields and speeders and people racing, doing stuff they're not supposed to do. So yeah, choppers take practice. The only way to really learn how to fly a chopper is to hop in it and practice. The tutorials are not the best in the world for choppers. They'll get you started, but again, tutorials in Flight Sim for the choppers are not that good. Choppers are just inherently unstable machines. Versus an aircraft is just stable by its very design. Choppers are not. So it takes practice. Don't worry if you crash your chopper a lot. I've crashed 100 of them. Hundreds of choppers in Flight Sim. I thought I would never be able to fly them, but look at me now. I can fly them pretty good. Even an add-on chopper. Like I have the Just Flight Robinson R44, which is an add-on chopper with a little bit better realistic physics than the defaults. And I can still fly it pretty good. Alright, we're coming back to the airport after our patrol has been completed. Again, listening in on the tower, I don't hear any aircraft. And we're just going to land where we took off from. That is the good thing about choppers, is they can land anywhere. Alright, to land, we want to really keep ahead of the chopper and start slowing down a decent distance out. So the way we slow down is we just pitch to a level attitude and use the collective. We'll have to reduce collective to maintain a particular altitude. I'm going to set us around 400 feet level and just let the chopper slow down. We're going to land at the end of the taxiway we took off from. Alright, so I'm going to reduce collective even more and start letting the chopper descend as we approach. Now as we do that, we will speed up, so I'm actually going to give it a little bit of pitch up to make sure the speed doesn't increase too much. Now as we slow down, we'll need less bank and more rudder. So it's the exact opposite of taking off. Now, we still have a decent amount of forward speed. What I'm going to do, you want to try to approach like a airplane to an extent and come in on a glide path and then stop the chopper just above the touchdown point and just slowly reduce altitude. That's ideally what you want to do, because if you get over the field, or your landing point and then just drop, you can get what's called the vortex effect, where you're descending your chopper into the dirty, turbulent air produced by the rotors. That can be bad. Alrighty, so we are in danger of a vortex effect now, so we don't want to descend any more than 500 feet per minute. So we're just going to... I'm going to increase collective as we get closer to the ground. We'll start seeing dust fly everywhere, because I want more lift to slow down that descent rate. And we'll just gently touch down on the pavement. Once we have the skids down, we'll reduce collective, heavy on the skids, and we are down. So that is the basics of flying a chopper. Now I'm just going to hover taxi us over to the hangar. So again, to fly a chopper, it just takes practice. You gotta know what each control input's gonna do and stay ahead of the bird. See, like, if you look at my controls right now, I'm actually having to put in some right bank and left rudder. And I'm actually going too fast. So I'm gonna pitch the chopper's nose up to slow it down. Use collective. I'm varying the collective. You're always playing with the controls in a chopper. It's not like a plane where you can set it and forget it sometimes. You're always constantly dancing on the controls with a chopper. Alrighty. Oop. Don't die. Alright, so that was flying helicopters in Flight Simulator. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.